High school is a strange creature that you're feeling as though you're drowning in people. But I was the only person in the room, Jack. Colson 17 is never the clown or the jock. A face obscured by the major fog of the coast of the hallways in our Portland suburbs, I wasn't. Some claimed I was clever, but I was battle-looking. Regardless, I had a talent for attracting the attention of the bullies. They made fun of my appearance, voice, and very existence. A daily routine that left me exhausted, hidden in the back of the classroom in the morning. Roe Evan Grant 18, my regular tormentor, opted to intensify Evan's suffering, enjoyed showing off his gym rat arms, and dominating the cafeteria with his booming cock, making everyone, especially myself, smaller. "Hello, Jack," he said loudly. "Forget your, are you just making us look brain today?" Sadly, his crew's attractive face. I shrank when my laughing stung like salt spray. Gazed down, but a low voice interrupted. "Leave him alone, as sharp as a sword." Evan's heads turned, and I gasped. Luke Reed was standing like a hurricane at the age of 18, towering, broad, and cut into flesh with a jawline capable of slicing eyeballs and glass that smolderingly scorched through you silent strength. He didn't talk much, but his presence asked that his eyes be quiet. Capturing the light and causing a heat wave, I didn't anticipate Evan squinting at him. "What's up, Luke? Do you have a problem?" Luke's arms are now crossed, and his expression is cold. Electrifying. "I'm not feeling like your trash today." He spoke in a smooth, and Evan was deeply shrunk to nothing. Mumbling curses as I huffed and pushed past, Luke turned, standing motionless and heartbroken. His lips flickered softly in front of me, that warmth that made me quiver in his eyes. "You okay?" his voice inquired, sending shivers down my spine. "Softer than a low tide, all right," I stumbled, still in shock over Luke Reed. "Untouchable Real has replaced me." He nodded as he left, but he looked back. Eyes lingering, inform someone if they're bothering you. The days that followed were bizarre for me, as if I'd fell into a dream that I couldn't get out of. Luke's eyes and voice, but I told, for me, it was simply an expression of thanks, expressing gratitude to someone for shoving a stray dog. However, this felt more intense the following day. Getting to class. I, via the foggy quad, saw him resting against a locker, in a way that made my chest feel easy, a giggle that tightens wind-tossed hair. His eyes met mine as they rolled like waves, and I looked at my trainer while ducked. "Pulse racing, Jack," he called, scuffs I turned half when I heard a voice pull me back. Expected a practical joke, yet his smile was sweet, dispelling a sparkle in his eyes that warmed my skin, and I wasn't too busy to walk with "I don't bite until you ask me to" in class. I blinked, and the brain short circuit was lovely. I'm being asked to walk by this actual Luke Reed. It resembled the opening sequence of a film, and I was uncertain if I would succeed or fail. "Yes," I shrugged and muttered, my cheeks heating. "To give you a spoiler, I didn't." He moved with ease, glancing at that was warm and tempting like flames. Jack remarked in a quiet voice, "Do you have any velvet?" Secret abilities to play the guitar and juggle I can hardly juggle, so I laughed nervously. My schoolwork, and he laughed deeply, making my heart skip a beat as it rumbles through me fair. "But you have a brilliant idea. Atmosphere, perhaps, or you simply look others down." I smiled as I leaned in till they bolted. My trick is to stare at them long enough. I'm planning something, since Luke's chuckle brightened his eyes, crinkling close enough to my face, detected a faint cedar scent on him, causing a, "What a restless pulse, mind reader." "You're more frightening than you appear," I scoffed. He was normal, and you don't know half of it. Funny, we didn't hit some far-off god. I didn't want class to finish, but Luke stopped at the door and said softly, "Ought to get together sometime after school. Instruct me to hang with the stare that froze me." His eyes were warm as he shrugged, "So why not your—" "I see that you're sitting by yourself, Jack." My heart flipped when I used a pal. I answered, scarcely breathing, "Sounds great." Softened his smile and left, standing shocked when subsequent jokes began in texts, memes of me spilling during a coffee meet. Jack chuckled at my traditional latte, and I understood that he wasn't merely being kind, observed me, and perhaps I was. No big issue. I'm starting to see him too. Yes, Luke and I discussed all of my favorite films are the most stupid. School exploits that make you laugh as a child. At one point, Luke was a complete idiot. He attempted backflips to win over a landed at the nurse's office after a crush. Red-faced, but I still remember that one moment. We were at his location, alert and unflappable. Amid the seaside wind at the school courtyard promising the football while holding, Salt Luke leaned close as the pitch spread out below. His warm breath ignited a spark and casually dropped a bomb as the fog began to drift in. Eyes glinting like sea lass, he said. I've been meaning to share something with you. I heart-tripped and raised an eyebrow. What's up? He hesitated for a moment. Second, I prepared for something substantial. I choked because I was kind of in love with you, Jack. He gave a playful smirk on air, yet his eyes carried weight. What you failed to see is that for weeks, I have been flinging myself at you, too preoccupied to look at my arms. My mind, my pulse flatlined, serious joking. He leaned with thundered palms moist, closer, raw, low voice. I'm not joking. I really like you, Jack, and I believe you like me as well. I swear he heard my heart roar so loudly. I was unable to talk, but the truth slithered out. Yes. I uttered a stomach-flipping murmur. I believe I simply enjoy that universe. Moved, the uneasiness vanished, and I was no longer the strange kid. Perhaps I was. A week ago, I was the homosexual guy Luke could love, was now avoiding Evan's jeers in class. I was next to Luke, and his laugh hurt His confession reverberated like a wave on both sides. We spent more time together, and his company was easy, no pressure. Precisely the way we'd known each other for ages, and he's flirtatious. Grins and playful looks made me. I tangled my words into a flushed jumble. Each time his warm gaze met mine, and like sunshine over water, it pierces. We took a walk through a Portland park in the evening. After school, enjoy the beautiful evening in the park, splattering the sky in pink and gold. There was a silent jolt when our shoulders touched, where our jackets touched, igniting, making me feel warm and fuzzy. Tried to act calm as she looked at him. I dodged the question. So, weekend plans? My mind is racing, but Luke's grin, sparkling eyes that danced under the fading, illuminate the cafe you adore with the one you love. Pour Wi-Fi and expensive lattes. Where I last spilt my drink, I laughed. Are you certain you want to take that chance? He grinned broadly. But I'll save your shirt. I'm an expert at lattes this time. I rolled my eyes at some hero rescues, leaning in and teasing me with a velvet voice. I lived to serve his warm laugh that encircled me. Electrifying, and I allowed it to drag me beneath, slowed down and stopped in front of the park's quietly folding leaves whispering around us. His eyes softened close in the air. I noticed that he had a faint cedar scent. Jack whispered softly, causing my pulse to race. Intentionally. This is real to me. I also feel as though my breath is being hitched. Your voice is shaky, but you're Luke. I'm just the kid, and everyone else is the star. He stepped in the hopes of surviving high school. Nearer, his hand grazing my warm grounding makes my arm tremble. I've seen you for eternity, Jack. It's not about status, kind of crisp real. It's us, since the words didn't work for me. His thumb stroked my heart like a wild drum. A silent pledge on my knuckles. Let me take just us, he said. You somewhere. I nodded, unable to speak, his gaze embracing me. We hit that as if I were the only thing that mattered. Cafe. The same quaint nook where I had revealed now that we had a sanctified latte, we managed to drinking at a window table. In comfort fade. Luke. The world outside is calm. Raised an eyebrow and smiled as he spoke. Warm teaser latte preventing spills. I guess I've got it now, as I smirked more calmly. Eventually, he learnt to retain his laughter in his cup. I sensed that the music was bright and low. The night merged with a typical contented home. Joking and stealing looks at his knee sweeping my beneath the table for a brief warmth that permeated deeply, and that I was still feeling. I felt at home there as we parted ways under Luke's smile lasted through the streetlights. Softly. Sure glad we did this, me too, I said. This is good. she remarked, her heart still pounding. And it was just a straightforward start. He grinned and leaned closer, not daring to imagine. The warmth of his lips on my cheek and brief dazzling heat that persisted. Good see you tomorrow. Of course, I said, feeling lightheaded as he walked. Off his outline disappearing into the fog, life had a way of changing the course of events. Only a few months ago, I was evading detection. Bullies, Luke became my entire universe, and I couldn't have imagined it any other way. Like a dream, but I persisted in anticipating the what if the catch was too flawless and unrealistic. They considered me to be a charity endeavor, but at his gang was laid back, silly and noisy, dragging me into their jokes as though I'd always belonged to Luke, who observed from the other side, his beaming smile glinting in the light. Later, I lay splayed on his warmth, Couch flickering his arm in a horrible romantic comedy casually thrown over my shoulders that made my spine tingle quiet. I told you would fit, he whispered, drawing me in. I put my head against his chest and closed it, his quiet heartbeat against my ear. Just attempting to avoid bombing, I answered, smiling. Laughed and teased my hair, saying, Jack, you're so flawless that you can't make a mistake. With me. His remarks struck a deep chord, yet Luke the guy's flattering but honest words, I was hailed as perfect by everyone. Do you think so? I inquired, rather unsure of his eyes, a gentle palm brushing against my heated jaw. Tilting my face up, I keep my words to myself. Don't imply that you're more authentic than. His earnestness squeezed my chest enough. My borders are melting. I'm not sure what I did. I whispered just you to get you, he continued. A spark flares as my thumb touches my cheek. Next week, we gently visit a beach close to sun-blazing Luke Kennebunk, renting just the two of us in the cabin. No school, no noise. He kicked off his shoes for pure freedom. He ran to the surf, and I followed him. His laugh is drawing me in, and the sand is flying, sprayed me with cold, stinging water. And I'm so angry that I'm going to pay to read this. Missed the wet sand he threw while dodging. We looked at each other, breathless, eyes sparkling. As the laughter fades, the air is heavy with something. He didn't say about his damp shirt, holding on to him and describing each line causing my heart to race. Fortunate I, as he joked in a low voice. Like you. Or I'd dunk you once more. I grinned. Try it hard. He sprang forward, catching me in his arms. Intense warmth against my back and sank in. I sputteringly surfaced into the surf. His grin was pure mischief, and he laughed, cursing. Told you, he said, dripping water from I could feel his breath in his hair. The stars that night on the porch of the cabin sparkled above the softly breaking surf. Luke wrapped his arm over me, keeping me warm, keeping his fingers firm while brushing my shoulder, giving a chill to the... This feels like a dream, I said, feeling cool air. Whispered, placing his head on his cedar shoulder. He gave me a light squeeze as his fragrance grounded me. Voice softly. I'm not Jack, but it's real. Going anyplace, I said with a bright smile. I'm flowering and don't want you to be quiet. Calm, not uncomfortable, yet full of Luke's gentle, passionate eyes. Jack, I don't wish to hurry, but I like you too. I felt like my heart was racing, but he put a warm, gentle finger to my lips. Stopping me. I already know. There's no need to express it. I nodded and tightened my throat too. I realized under that dark sky that I wasn't no longer live only for me, but for us. The world might go crazy for Luke and Jack. However, with his hand in mine, his eyes, my anchor was the only thing that mattered. Our beginning is dirty, genuine, and sufficient. Understood that this wasn't a passing high. School spark was actually made to last. Ever after that beach vacation to Kennebunk lately, the moment with Luke felt magical. Driving through Portland's fog at night, streets attempting to get new diners to laugh until our side's actions or simply remaining silent. His presence was sufficient to keep me steady. I felt the sharer more deeply than he did. Additionally, his eyes met mine with a warmth that roused my innermost being, but a shadow high school and lingering school loomed. Wasn't particularly a safe place for men like us. I feared how, Even with Luke at my side, our bubble could shatter beneath our peers. "You're quiet," Luke said on the stairs, voice yanking me back when we were seated on a waves from the pier lap beneath the main dusk filled with salt and assurance. I coerced a smile without attempting to dim his radiance. Thinking. He softened the look in his eyes. His jaw was gilded by the departing sun over what I hesitating when speaking to schoolchildren. "We're not quite," he cut, "but we'll talk to Luke," removing his finger and warming my chin purposefully, giving me the chills. "Jack, as our eyes meet, listen to me. Regardless of who speaks, we are genuine if anybody has a problem that they are responsible for." His voice was a constant lifeline, not us. Furious, erasing my anxieties like the tide, I rested my head on his. I'm grounded by his cedar aroma on my shoulder, generating a soft glow. "You're right. His smile whispered. Needed to hear it. Flashed the type that made my heart race. His arm tightens around me as he races. Soft yet firm fingers brushing against my neck. "Got your back in heaven, where nobody ever takes." This felt like a pledge from us at that very moment. We weren't naive. We were raw and unwavering. Although school might be cruel, Luke. Nothing seemed insurmountable, and "I want this to work," he replied, placing his hand in mine. Warm, solid grasp, causing a flutter in my "whatever it takes to keep us alive" chest. That's when I realized this was more than just a crush. It was a deeper kind of trust and respect. "Than words," I said. "I want that too," say it. Voice lingering on his fingertips, and catching us pinched my eyes fiercely with, "Then we will," he stated with assurance. The school hit was as easy as breathing together. We heard harsh murmurs and twisted rumors. Like seaweed's nasty stabs in corridors, I prepared for sidelong glances in class. Rejection. But Luke remained steadfast in a defiant hand touching mine, in the quad glimmer in his smile supporting me as we confronted awkward inquiries from a teacher scowled. As we carved out our own friends, the loudness gradually subsided. Teachers who came together grew softer, and our world remained steady as graduation drew closer. Fear was replaced by exhilaration, not only for freedom, but on that last day, for us. With my diploma in hand, I crossed the stage. When I looked around the crowd, I saw Luke, rising erect, grinning broadly, and yelling enough to suffocate the last of his eyeballs. Warming my heart with pride, and igniting I waved a tiny pulse that made me feel at home. And he gave a personal pledge in the mayhem as they leave the school together. The Portland breeze feels refreshing on our faces. Was aware that we had not only made it through high education, but via a more significant love, I discovered that pursuing someone to complete you. It's about locating the one who leads you to believe that the Luke couldn't have done that to his shoulder, grazing mine while we strolled in the still heat. "We accomplished it in the contact grounding me," he whispered softly, caressing my thumb with his. My knuckles are giving me the chill. Grinned and squeezed his palm in preparation for, "Yes, the sun will always be there." Painted the sky gold while sinking, and our endlessly extended, incredibly disorganized hours. High school was only a phase that included, every step Luke took seemed like the beginning of, we would write an unstoppable story. Connected regardless of the subsequent story. Portland's graduation 3 years later, Jack was still stuck in the coastal fog. Luke and 21 are no longer in love. Restricted to the hallways of high schools but woven into the life that they had created together, Jack investigated marine biology at a nearby college, and Luke was employed at a community center mentoring children and directing youth organizations for queer people. They had a tiny flat with a view of the bay salt air leaking through a window that is open. On a fall evening, they went back to the location of an ancient beach cabin in Kennebunk, where the waves used to baptize their offspring. Sitting on the porch with the stars piercing your heart. Luke's hand was resting close to the navy sky. Jack's fingertips brushing over his heated wrist. A spark is stirring in the cold air. Recollections of their initial admissions, Jack's heart grew not out of uncertainty, but they had undoubtedly become stronger. Whispers had been put to the test in high school. Glares. But Jack learnt from those conflicts his feelings were a state of being, rather than a defect or a truth to accept. "I thought I had must conceal," he informed Luke, after unpacking years of campus pride and dread therapy. He saw his identity as gay, thanks to groups. Luke's pride was a strength as well. Discovered that his self-assurance was now balanced with empathy from guiding teenagers through their individual routes. That evening, Luke said. His gentle breath teased the shell of Jack feels a chill from his ear. Tomorrow I'll be presenting at a youth panel. Self-love and sexuality are frightening, but I want children to understand that being Jack turned them, rubbing their knees together, a silent heat anchoring beneath the cover. Them. You'll look fantastic, he replied. You demonstrated to me Luke's warmth and stability. Their conversations were no longer more in-depth, avoidance of shadows. Luke related tales of some of the children he coached were afraid, reflecting Jack's previous anxieties. I believed I was broken because I liked you, Jack. Acknowledged, tracing Luke's palm with their fingers. You made me see your tiny pulse sparkling. Luke, love is just love. No rules. Nodded at the lessons he had learnt. Sexuality is a spectrum rather than a box. He has encountered other transgender people, co-worker and mentor whose tales influenced his support for "It's not always." Luke put his arm around Jack and murmured, "Easy." Warm fingers brushing his shoulder in his jumper. But it's genuine when you possess it. Jack leaned between intimacy. A quiet commitment motivated by Luke's bravery in leading an open life is a lesson. In the honesty of love, difficulties persisted. Family conflicts and a co-worker's nasty remarks, but their relationship remained deeply established. Jack joined Luke out of trust and respect. Banners at a pride march in Portland. Luke's hand fluttered in theirs. Giggling and silently rebelling while observing Jack observed various couples using Samex. Love as life raw, strong, and legitimate relationships in and of themselves later. Later, Luke whispered, "Take work." Shoulder-to-shoulder contact while walking a gentle glimmer of light in the evening. But you're worth it. Heaven grinned as she remembered their battles. And cosmetics, each of which fortifies, "You instructed me to defend ourselves," he remarked. They shared a warmth when their eyes met. Back at the cottage, they were cooking. Grazing elbows in the small kitchen cedar and garlic slithering past Luke. At this moment mentioned dreams, graduate school, and possibly a Jack's voice is firm and lively, familial. Heard his hand slide across Luke's as he, passing a plate with a temporary heat anchor. Luke said, "They're not alone. It's a network of friends." Jack never felt alone, knotted eyes glinting because their tale was once a spark in a now. Stormy School was a lighthouse, not just romanticism, but a reality that demonstrates to others that sexuality is a process rather than a stigma. They sat beneath the roaring waves of the stars. Jack was aware of how messy and real their love was. A lesson about accepting who you love bravely creates a life that is more resilient than fear. For all children who are curious about their story, love in a whisper, you're enough. You can claim all of its forms. Thank you for continuing to follow this tale until the conclusion. Press the like button if it hits home. Give it to someone who will understand it and visit my channel, Gay Secret Confession Ever, to subscribe. For more unvarnished, authentic tales, do not remember to press the notification bell. Don't miss the upcoming tales music, everyone. From the greatest gay love story.